always built with a user-first ethos and has never contained ads, spyware, or algorithms. As the largest, truly decentralized social network in the world, we are the antithesis of big tech companies that thrive by selling off your data. A community of communities, we support the voice of many, rather than the ambitions of few. That's why we moved to the blockchain, so we can double down on our commitment to your privacy and control. Here, you can own your identity, your content, and your network of friends. It's social media as it should be. MeWe, a bright spot on the internet.
This is actually a real pleasure. No one can really get Jeffrey Edell's background properly because he's done so many things. First of all, MeWe is already at 1.3 million daily active users on chain. It is definitely the largest decentralized social media company. But as remarkable as MeWe is, so is your background, Jeffrey. Now, just to highlight, this is someone who's dominated both entertainment and media, and also social media. So for those of you who know me, I usually don't take any notes and I just talk, but for your background, there's so much I kind of have to read this if you don't mind.
That's because I'm so old.
So, this is incredible. So you have, and correct me if I'm wrong, 5 Academy Awards for sound and design for things like Gladiator, Braveheart, Last of the Mohicans, Glory, and I'm sure I'm missing some movies here. You've produced recent movies like Just Friends with Ryan Reynolds. I think you've produced like 25 movies total, right? You also have a Grammy as well, 50 Emmys. You also were friends with Stan Lee from Marvel, and you had the #1 comic book collection at Comic-Con in 2019, was it? Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't end there. So after a storied career in media, he decided somehow that social media was the next thing, and you were the chairman and CEO of MySpace, the first social media company that actually got to scale. And on top of that, you actually sold the company to News Corp back in the day. That's a lot. Now you're chairman and CEO of MeWe. Thank you for coming. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thanks for having me here, John.
Jeff, you've done so much. Can you give me the quick story on how you went from conquering media into social media?
Sure. So, social media has changed over time, and it's really not the way it used to be. It's not the way that I think it should be. And you lose the ability for real contacts and real connections. So with my entertainment background, I thought bringing entertainment to the social media world in a second iteration 20 years later when my hair got gray, before it used to be black, might be a way to go in this world. We have people behind us, an incredible team of people behind us in the company. Folks like Steve Wozniak is an advisor who wants to see this happen, a new way of social media, restoring it to the way it used to be. We have Sir Tim Berners-Lee that was mentioned yesterday by John on his presentation yesterday. Sir Tim is an advisor and a shareholder of the company. When David Graham, who created TCP/IP, so these individuals saw the internet evolve over time, but it changed into something that nobody really wanted. They didn't want that. And so it's exciting to really be a part of, I'll call it like a second generation of MySpace, coming back to try to restore something in a world where we can give you, individuals, back ownership and control of your data and information, and know that you're real, not a bot, and know that you have real connections with friends in your communities that is not going to get interrupted by algorithms or amplification of misinformation. So trying to do social the right way, kind of like you heard it in the video.
Well, the ethos is really great for exactly what Web Web3 is all about, self-sovereign identity. What else makes MeWe different from alternatives?
Right. So MeWe is a privacy-based application. And if you really understand what we're trying to do, that's the key, is to not only allow you to own and control your own data, but it's private. So you keep it. So centralized tech that you're used to seeing, with the Facebooks and Twitters and Metas of the world, those kinds of guys that take your data and information and they leverage it for their own benefit, that's not what we do at MeWe. I don't sit here and try to act like Elon Musk or Mark Zuckerberg and say, this is right and this is wrong. It's not like that at all. And as we move to the blockchain, that'll be more decentralized. So those are just some of the things, but the privacy aspects are the key of it. MeWe has, just to give you an idea of scale, and the young lady who came out and said, I'd like to see how you get to 20 million. Well, we're at 20,620,000 users already, which is pretty cool. So, I mean, that's like a big deal. And I found each and every one of them in countries all over the world and signed them up myself. No, just kidding. So 20 million, we have, like John had said, 1.3 million on chain right now, which are fantastic. But the decision at MeWe, what we did was very interesting. We're part of something called Project Liberty, which is a movement, a technology to move people back to the world the way social should be, to give you your own digital rights. That is critical. We're group-based. That's our superpower. We have 725,000 groups. So I was at a conference in Copenhagen, and someone said, well, you don't have every group. And I said, yeah, we do. Name something. He goes, Japanese basket weaving. We searched through the app, and sure enough, there were 6 groups that were into Japanese basket weaving. So we have groups for you all over the world. We're in 200 countries, 20 languages, and part of the excitement here is we want to make our individuals on our platform available to DApps and the folks here that are going to be developing apps on Avalanche.
This is a lot of great stuff that you've mentioned, the benefits of blockchain and Web3 for the user. But I think it's even more interesting if you think about how the graph, this is a developer conference, so let's talk about the digital graph of every person and how that helps developers with their creating of apps.
Sure. So what we do is, some of this is already done and some of it's Star Trek. So we could talk about what's been done first and then we could talk Star Trek after. So what's already done is that you can log in right now if you download a MeWe app from a Google Store or the Apple Store, and you will get a universal login, john@web3.com, whatever it is. Then attached to you, and that's what these 1.3 million people so far did, and about 3,000 people every day are doing, which is pretty significant on chain, you're going to get a social graph encoded. Right now, there's about 630,000 people that have encoded their social graph. And then there's going to be a series of tokens. And the concept is that you have your own identity that is validated. You have your social graph, which is I follow Mark, Mark follows Jeffrey, and you take it with you. Think about that. It's a completely different world than Facebook. Facebook, you get pissed off one day, you say, screw them, they're messing with me, I don't like the ads, I'm going to leave. You're going to miss pictures of your grandmother and your sister and your brother and all that. But what happens? Everything you've built on Facebook, everything you built on Instagram, Twitter, it's all there. It's not yours. And so this social graph, the neatness of the social graph and the uniqueness of it is that it's attached to your universal login, it's portable, and it'll be used across chains. You take it with you. And so we're giving you the ability to monetize your social community. The people that you spent years clicking through pictures and developing and having really cool content, we're going to give you the ability to monetize that. And if you're a group on MeWe today, we give you the ability to help grow your groups as well.
I can't wait till all of that is on Avalanche. But I know you looked at so many chains and your tech team did a lot of due diligence. Why Avalanche?
So this was, actually you'd think it was a difficult question. John Woo and I met about 1.5 years ago. A very good friend of mine is named Divya Narendra, also is a friend of John's. Divya, I will say, he's on our board of directors. I've known him since Northwestern at college, And what he did was, he was the actual creator and founder, I think, of Facebook. In that movie, Social Network, with the Winklevoss twins, he's partners with them. He hired Mark Zuckerberg and started Harvard Connect, which Zuckerberg, remember, ran off and did his own thing. But he's essentially the founder. Well, in essence, Divya is involved in this as well. But to your point, though, you were saying?
So, I mean, basically, why Avalanche?
Yeah, so.
Besides the fact that we have a mutual friend.
Divya introduced me to John about a year or so ago. So what we did was we took a look at, I would say, 15 different of the top platforms, the top chains that existed. We looked at everything from liquidity to speed to documentation, marketing support, developer support, and so forth. And people are concerned about all of those things. And when we evaluated them, actually, two of our colleagues here, Jonathan Wolf and Mark Liu, are actually in the audience, so if you want to bother them, not me, that's great. Anyway, we evaluated it and found Avalanche just to check the box on more of those things than all the other platforms. I don't care if it was Arbitrum, Base, Near Technology, Solana, et cetera. It was a combination of all of those things we evaluated, and technically amazing. Low cost, speed. Remember, we have, at MeWe, and I was telling this to John earlier, we have 20 million impressions-ish a day, 20 million a day. Imagine that activity on chain. And we had to have something that was fast, where there was no degradation for our users. Can you imagine like posting something or liking something and it not happening? You would just blow off that platform. So we had to have something fast and cost effective, and their solution just really takes care of it. And even more important, really good people and the support and so forth. So we're really excited to be a part of Avalanche. And we're going to be creating an L1 on Avalanche. And we're going to make all of our users, 20.5 million users, and the ones that continue to come on chain, because it's taking some time to get them on chain, will all be available to D-apps and all of you degeneratives out there. I'm sorry, degens, you know.
So there's a couple of things that are interesting. First, one minor correction. You said Divya and Northwestern. Divya obviously went to college at Harvard.
He went to Northwestern, too.
But he went to Northwestern for law school. And
Yes.
Divya is a very good tennis player, so I play with him, so I know how good he is. But your daughter was on the Northwestern tennis team while he was in grad school. That's how you guys met.
Yes.
And another interesting fact, this guy's like a Renaissance man. He was a 3-sport athlete at UVA: tennis, soccer, and basketball in the era of Ralph Sampson. Now, I don't think you can possibly do that today. No one will, first of all, the teams won't allow you to play 3 different sports, and you have to specialize at such a young age. So not only were you an entertainment mogul, your daughter's a great athlete, professional tennis player, you were a great athlete, and now you're going to be a social media star as well.
And I've been married for 35 years with my wife sitting right out there in Hollywood, if you can believe it or not. 1 wife, 3 kids. Thank you.
The interesting thing also you mentioned is like there's so many great things about it from a Web3 perspective for MeWe and migrating possibly 20 million plus users into a decentralized 1.3 already. I mean, people don't realize this in this community yet, the Web3 community, how big that is. That's a large number. What are some of the other features and things that MeWe provides that everyone here should know about?
So if you've gone on, and there'll be a call to action later, but you could certainly look at things anytime you want. MeWe, like I said, superpower is we're group-based. It is really easy if you're a business or an individual that wants to put out your wares to have your own page on MeWe. It's easy for you to set up your own group and you set up your own profile. So all of those things are going to be really easy. I think what's important for the developers in this room and at this conference is, remember, you guys, you come from a world of, you're creating amazing technology and amazing apps, and we want those apps to be eventually built on MeWe or side by side with MeWe so it could be interoperable with what we're doing. And then the communities that we have can be part of what you're trying to do. We're actually developing right now ourselves a couple really interesting features that I'll get into a bit later. So I think that's critical, is knowing that your universal login and your sort of the identity layer and your social primitives will all be carried with an individual as they're going to move from place to place. But again, for this room, the other thing is why not form a group? Why not avail yourselves? You can look at anything. You could find, there were two people I was talking to outside that said they were going to show up here. I think they're in the back somewhere, because I told them I'd show up at their speech tomorrow. Anyway, they're into, yes, there they are right there. They're into horse racing and fractional ownership. Well, just go on to MeWe, look at animals, look at horses, and there's tens or dozens of groups there. So why not form, right now, you can literally form your own community today. We'll help you grow that, and then at some point in time, you'll be able to build on MeWe, and then the tokens that we're going to have going on will be interoperable and exchangeable as well. So some of those things may benefit you.
So let's talk about long-term. You just talked about short-term, some of the things that can happen. Let's talk about medium-term and long-term. Where do you see MeWe going in the next 5 years?
So I'll build into that, right? Just in the short term, we have some really cool artificial intelligence, the buzzwords everybody uses, that we're using on platform. That again is being the brainchild of some of the individuals here in the room from MeWe. And so we have some really cool location sharing apps coming out. We have a two-way camera system that you'll see is amazing, where literally I could see you plus everything you're seeing, and you could see me and everything I'm seeing. Now imagine that world within groups and so forth. Pretty cool. It'll work for horse racing too. You want to check out that horse, right? So in the short term, it's a matter of building more apps. In the intermediate term is getting a tokenized, a reward-based economy in place on MeWe, because remember, we're coming from a Web 2 world to a Web 3 environment. It's a little different. And so we want to get that all set up. And then as we move out, really the key to this is this Project Liberty that I'm a part of. And Frank McCourt, if you guys know Frank McCourt, used to own the Los Angeles Dodgers. He owned the Olympique de Marseille soccer team, so if you're from Paris, you probably don't like him, because Saint-Germain and Messi didn't like that. Anyway, we're part of this movement called Project Liberty that I mentioned earlier. And we have a lot of governments across the world. We have a lot of universities. I spoke at Harvard and MIT last month, or it was a few months ago. We have Georgetown University, Stanford University. I'm going to Washington literally in November. And the governance side of things are trying to create this movement to move people back into a world where you can own and control your own data and information. They literally had the event in Boston last year because that was the founding of the forefathers, and this was a way of giving you back your digital rights, like the Constitution signing again. So what I'm most excited about is this movement, this project we're working on that has the components of technology, a movement, and governance. And I think all those three things together are critical to sort of restore your digital rights. There's no way that big tech should own and control your information. There's no way that they should make those decisions for you. Why should they make the money for you? This is part of our intermediate and long-term plans, is to restore those rights to you. And what better is doubling down on privacy and decentralization and democratization on Web3, on the blockchain, and doing that with an L1 with Avalanche. We're really excited about this, and I think that's what I'm most excited about in the future.
One more question on the operating side of the business. Unlike a lot of other Web3 type companies where you go out with a big bang and you tell everyone what you will do and then you hopefully do it, you guys have just been very quietly migrating 20 million users on-chain in a decentralized manner, 1.3. That's a large audience on-chain for decentralized. Is this the big announcement, and then you're going to start getting more people aware of what you're doing? So you operate first, then you announce? Is this the big party here, to start getting people aware of what you do?
Yeah, so when I first met John about 1.5 years ago, and he looked at this and he said, oh, that's a really interesting social platform, love your ethos, privatization sounds great. I said, yeah, and we're going to integrate into chain. We're going to move people to chain. And as a finance guy as well, he's kind of going, sounds good, seem like a good guy, my friend, well, let's see. Flash forward, 1,000,003 people, done, right?
Year and a half ago was 0.
From 0, okay? And this is, I could say this, Lens Protocol, Farcaster, we're bigger than them together. And people don't even know MeWe. Under the radar, quiet, no marketing, all organic. It's all part of a movement. That's what this is. So what we're going to do is, once we have our L1 in place and we have our tokenomics in place, which will be first sort of like a reward system that will convert into tokens. Once that's in place, hopefully in the next 6 months, that's the plan, although I know we can turn an L1 up in 2 seconds, then the plan is to go out with a full push marketing effort to try to bring in masses of people to see what we're trying to do.
We only have 15 seconds. I have 2 questions.
Uh-oh.
One, of all those Grammys you won, which movie was your favorite? Mine was Gladiator.
Oh, of the Academy Awards, Gladiator was my favorite movie, definitely.
Wow, okay, that's great.
Braveheart is close second.
Actually, Braveheart could be number 1,
Yeah,
too. That was good. But this audience is probably a little bit too young to know Braveheart.
Yeah, the Grammy is, if you guys are the Democracy here was with Bill Clinton. We did an audio book on tape and won a Grammy with Bill Clinton.
Wow. I want to leave everyone with a call to action. Shall you want to
Sure, it should pop up here.
Yeah, let's do it.
So please, if you would, I implore you, it benefits you. It really does. And yes, I'm a capitalist, but I'm also an altruist. You could do that when you have gray hair. Sign up for MeWe. See how easy it is to download the application, form a group. We'll help you if you need any help with it. You can ask those 2 right there. They'll help you personally today. Get something going there to get the audiences to see the brilliance in some of the things that you guys are creating. We're excited to work with you and excited to be here.
Excellent. Jeffrey, thank you so much. It's awesome, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next for you guys.
Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, everybody.